gonna wedge clay. So something that you'll need is a good scale, some clay, and then a wire tool. I also want to start with why you need a wedge clay and why it's so important. It's truly the foundation to start, any type of ceramics. It softens the clay up, and so that it's easier to use. And get rid of air bubbles to align the particles in the clay together. Important is because you can be pulling up a wall, you hit an air bubble, and it's going to push the wall out. Now your piece is off centered, frustrated. Then it's just really not going to work. The better that you wedge your clay, the easier it will be to center, to roll out slabs, just to work on pottery in general. Starting with like a pound and a half of clay. For me, it's easier to wedge kind of larger amounts of clay because of my hands. Sometimes it's harder for me to wrap my hand around a smaller piece. And so I'm going to wedge like 3 to 5 pounds of clay, but I would start with, closer to a pound and a half. Here's your wire tool. You're just going to go cut the clay. You're not going to know exactly what it is. Put it on your scale. That's about 3 pounds. Our goal for wedging clay is to have smooth, consistent clay, no lumps or hard spots. Having a clean surface where there's not dried up clay bits like that is good, so that when you're wedging your clay, it's not in there. So pretty simple, just put the clay down. This method is called many things. What I was taught was ram's head. Put your hands on both sides, and you're gonna like push down, bring it up, push down, bring it up. Really getting that spiral right. And then when you push it down, your hand will be right here, but when you push it down, you go like that. And then you like bring it back up to right here. Same thing. So what you essentially should get is something that looks like that, right? What I do to finish is, because you don't want to leave it at this shape. Like imagine this is on the table as I'm wedging it. Instead of doing the harder ones, I'll kind of go slower so that it finishes with the shape like this. And now I'm gonna go a little softer and slower and really just fold it in and focus on making that shape. I'm not sure what you call that. It's gonna start looking like that. And then you get this. Next is just kind of slap it all together. I like to go like that. Again, you can do your own thing. Plop it down. This right here is what I put down on the wheel. Why I kind of leave this shape right here is so that when you put it down onto a wheel, there's no air bubbles that can be in between the clay and the wheel head. And I'll show that in the next video. And then the moment of truth, you don't do this when you're about to throw because it wouldn't make sense to ruin your entire lump. But to show you what it should look like, I'm just gonna wire it in half right here. And then I'm gonna wire it down right here, just to show you different sections of the clay. See how there's no bubbles? This right here is just really ripping the clay part, not doing the wire all the way through. The better you wedge your clay, the easier it will be to center. So if you're truly having a hard time centering your clay and you feel like you're not really getting anywhere, I would go back to wedging, making sure you're using a soft clay. It's easier to use in